Hey guys, thank you so much for clicking on today's video. My name is Annalise and this is my channel where we get planty with it. So I've actually been putting off filming today's video for a little while because I think it's going to be a long one, as I'm going to be going through my entire philodendron collection. I don't know how many philodendron I have exactly, but it is my favorite genus, so I'm guessing I have more philodendron than I have Hoya, and I had I think 22 or 23 Hoya. So I guess we'll find out by the end of this video just how many varieties I have. So if you want to see all of the philodendron in my collection, then definitely keep watching. So I'm not going to be going in any particular order. I'm just going to kind of go by what I happen to grab first. And I can't spend too long talking about each one because I do have quite a few. So I'm just going to give a little bit of information on each of the philodendron and then try to move through them as quickly as possible. So first up, I'll do this big guy that's sitting next to me. Here he is in all his glory. This is my Philodendron Florida Ghost. Look at how beautiful these leaves are. So I found out the way that you can tell the difference between a Philodendron Florida Ghost and just the green form is the Florida Ghost actually has these red petioles. So as you can see, there's red all along the stem there. And then the leaves do come out a white color and then over time fade to green. So it may be hard to tell, but this leaf still has a little bit of the white on it. It's fading to green. It kind of has a mottled look. This guy's been a super slow grower for me and I'm not sure why, so I'm thinking maybe I'm going to try to transition it to LECA because things in my experience have been growing a lot faster in LECA, especially philodendron, so that might be a project that I do soon. In a similar vein, here is my Philodendron Florida Green or Philodendron pedatum. From what I understand, they're the same thing. Here she is, definitely a big plant. There's a few stems in here. And as you can see, when the leaves are more immature, they kind of come out in this shape. So they don't have those, 5 specific points. They're kind of more of a blob. But then over time, as they mature, the leaves will turn into this. This one, as you can see, does not have those red petioles. They're all green. So you can tell it's not a Florida Ghost. It's just the green form. But I absolutely love this guy. He grows like crazy. As you can tell, it's shooting out here, living in LECA and loving it. So next up is my Philodendron MEXICANUM. Look at how massive this leaf is. If we do a head test, definitely bigger than my head and super beautiful. It has these massive lobes at the top, which are basically the ears at the top of the leaf. And it's putting out a new leaf here, which is the first real leaf it's putting out. It put out this weird little baby one, but now it's putting out a real leaf. So I can't wait to watch this guy grow and mature. It's such a pretty plant. And the back, it's kind of faded down, but the back of the leaf is a little bit like purplish. So it's a really unique plant. Another great philodendron. This one's right now just living in sphagnum because I only got it about a month ago, so I'm letting it really root up comfortably and then I'll probably transfer it to LECA. Okay, this guy sits on the floor, but this is a Philodendron XANADU. I actually got this at Urban Garden Center, which I think was my first plant tour video or plant shopping video. And so this is the plant I got. I did have to cut it up quite a bit because when I brought it home, I realized it had mealybugs and I didn't want to deal with it. So I cut off quite a few leaves, but it is growing back and it's super cute. You can see the leaf shape is super cool. This one's funny because it keeps doing this thing where it has double leaves like this. So it's 2 leaves basically attached into 1 leaf, which is kind of funky looking, but this is the Philodendron XANADU. Now, one of my favorite philodendron, which I think I've talked about in probably a couple favorites videos, is the Philodendron PLOWMANII. Here she is. I just transferred this plant to this long pot yesterday. It's been in LECA for a while, but it was in a regular sized planter. But this is a crawling philodendron, which means that in the wild when it grows, it crawls along the floor. And as it crawls, it roots down along the stem. So you kind of want to replicate that environment in your home if you can to make sure it continues to grow healthily and can keep all of its leaves. I noticed when I didn't allow it to crawl, every time I would put out a new leaf, it would lose its oldest leaf. So it would only have at most 2 leaves at a time, and that's very sad. So as you can see, now it has 3. It's in this long pot. I ran out of LECA, so it's a little bit empty on this side, but I can't wait to watch it crawl along the entire pot and hopefully become just like a full PLOWMANII. Plus, just look at these leaves. They're so stunning. The petioles are this really cool wavy texture. Just all around a plant I would highly recommend for sure. Okay, next up is a plant that I don't really see a lot of people talk about, but I really enjoy, and that is the Philodendron MAYOI. Here you go, that is a leaf. They have this really cool kind of flame shape. The immature leaves kind of just look like this, but then as they mature, they really get these clear spikes. It's putting out a new leaf here, so it's growing really well. I have this one just living in soil in a terracotta pot so I don't overwater it, and it's been loving life. Nothing super exciting to say about this one, but I think it has a really cool and unique leaf shape. So another one of my favorite philodendron for sure is this philodendron mottled dragon or golden dragon. Look at how big this leaf is. And you can see there's some golden variegation on it, some yellow variegation up and down the leaf in kind of a mottled texture. This guy has been also growing so well. I did get this one kind of recently. I think I got it in July, so it's still living in sphagnum, but I'm gonna transfer it to leca pretty soon. But it's been growing so well. Since I've had it home, it put out this leaf here, and as you can see, another leaf is already starting to unfurl. So a super fast grower. I don't see a ton of people with these, but I really recommend it if you can find one because I think they just make such a statement. The leaf shape is so unique compared to other philodendron, so it's definitely one I would recommend. Look at her. And next up is the philodendron Billietiae. Here she is in all her glory. She has quite a few leaves. She just finished putting out this super long, beautiful leaf here. And look, one's already starting to come out of the growth point. So this one, actually, when I first got it, it was in soil because I had most of my plants in soil before I started using semi-hydro, and it really was not growing quickly at all. It would put out one leaf maybe every few months, and I was getting tired of that. So I transferred it to leca. Let's see if there's roots. Root check. Yes. I don't know if you can see, but there's roots coming out the side of the pot. And since I transferred it and it acclimated, it's shooting out new leaves like crazy. This leaf just finished hardening off a few days ago, and as you can see, it already has a new growth point with a new leaf starting to come out. So a super fast grower apparently now that it's living in leca. I just think it's really unique. Beyond just like the cool leaf shape, the petioles are actually kind of an orange color. It may not come across in camera, they look kind of brown I think, but they are this really cool orange color. So they don't really look like any other plant that you would have in your collection. So next up is the philodendron silver sword. Here's this little guy. I do have quite a few of these just because we just cut up our big mother plant and we're rooting them all up. This was the bottom cutting, so it doesn't look the best, but I didn't want to move all the other ones. But it's a super beautiful plant and they're really growing in popularity now, and I think they're becoming a lot more accessible, which is so great. The leaves are this beautiful like silvery blue color. They kind of have this shimmer to them, and then when they mature, they take on a different shape where they actually have lobes. So I'm really hoping that we can get one of ours to mature to that point because they look so, so cool when they're massive. This is also a climbing philodendron, so if you can, I'd recommend putting it on a pole or a plank or something like that so you can see that mature shape. Whew, wow, I'm already sweating and we're not even halfway. So next up is a plant I don't hear anybody talk about, but I think is super underrated. We randomly got this plant off Ecuagenera because we just thought it looked cool, but had never heard anyone talk about it. And that is the Philodendron undulatum. Look at the shape of this leaf. It's massive and so gorgeous. Here's the other leaf it recently put out. This is the newest leaf, actually. You can tell it's still hardening off. No other philodendron I have at least has this kind of leaf shape. It's really unique for the other philodendron we have. And I think it's one that a lot of people would like if they gave it, oh my God, I'm spilling everywhere. I keep forgetting that all my glass vessels have holes in them for leca, and so I just spilled a bunch of water on myself, but we're gonna keep it pushing. But this is a philodendron I think that people would really love if they gave it a chance, and because they're not super popular, they're not very expensive. I haven't seen a lot of places sell them, but Ecuagenera is one that definitely usually has them in stock because they're not really sought after. But I think they're so unique and so beautiful, and they grow really well. I mean, this guy's shooting out new growth super quickly. There's new growth coming out there already, so highly recommend. Okay, moving right along, we have one of my newest philodendron that I just can't handle how beautiful this one is. I got this at Planted by Christy, so you already saw it in my haul video if you watched that, but since then it's put out this stunning new leaf. So this is a Philodendron Dark Lord. The new leaves come in this, like, I don't even know what you would call this, like a deep pink almost color. And then when they harden off, they're this like really cool kind of green bronze color. And then my favorite part is the back of the leaf. Like it stays that kind of pinkish color and it's just so beautiful. And the petioles are like bright pink, as you can see. So this is just a super unique plant, again, that I don't see a ton of people talking about. I guess maybe people think it's kind of basic, but when you see it in person, the coloring of it is so unique and so vibrant. I mean, I cannot get over this new leaf. And it's been growing super quickly as well. It is living in sphagnum because this is how I bought it from Planted by Christy, and I haven't moved it yet, but I think I'm going to move it to leca or something, but I kind of don't even want to move it soon because it's growing so well and I don't want to like mess anything up. Yeah, this is definitely my favorite leaf in my whole collection right now, for sure, by far. So next up is a philodendron that I am not loving at all right now, but I know people do, so no shade if you love it. For me, it's not growing well. And that is my philodendron BRANDTIANUM. Here she is, living in LECA. So it has a lot of roots and it's growing well in that way. It does put out new growth, but the new growth always comes in looking weird. I don't understand. For instance, it might be hard to tell, but half of this leaf is just like messed up. This side, this is a new leaf that just like never came in properly. Leaves will get stuck in the sheath all the time and die off in there. And I've talked to some friends who've had this plant and they've had similar problems. So I don't know if this plant is just difficult to grow, or maybe, I was thinking maybe it needs higher humidity and I could put it in my greenhouse cabinet, but I don't have a ton of space in there and this is not a plant that's high on my priority list, but maybe it should be. But it is super beautiful. I do love the silver coloring on it. It's just frustrating that it doesn't grow well. It kind of always looks kind of crusty to me. So we'll see if I end up keeping this. I might end up just giving these cuttings away to someone or trading them. If you want some brandy cuttings, let me know because I'm probably gonna be giving these away. Okay, so next up is my Philodendron MELANOCHRYSUM. Here she is in all her glory. So I have it growing up this moss pole, even though it has not rooted into it yet. I don't know why. It has some new growth coming out. It's very small because I just actually cut it to trade with a friend, so it's just growing back now. But this is a really beautiful plant. This one was super, super popular, I think, you know, mid-pandemic. Everyone really wanted it, myself included, and had a pretty hefty price tag, which is definitely coming down now. So that's definitely good news if you want a MELANOCHRYSUM. But if you still can't find one, I've seen people grow their MICANs and mature them. So have them on a moss pole or a plank or growing up their wall and they'll mature. And honestly, they look very similar to the MELANOCHRYSUM when they're mature. So if you can't get this one, I would recommend trying to mature your MICANs, and you can get leaves that are even bigger than this with the same kind of coloring, same velvety texture. That's not to say that I don't love this plant. I do love this plant. But I really wanted to get some bigger leaves. I tried to put it on this pole, but it's not rooting into it. So we'll see how it goes. I'm trying to be patient with it. Give it some time to grow. Okay, this big guy is a Philodendron Golden Goddess, I want to say. I'll correct myself on screen if I'm wrong, but I think that's what it is. It's super beautiful because it's a neon green color, which looking around, none of the other philodendron I've talked about so far are this color. So it's definitely unique and stands out in all the other shades of green that I have in my home. It grows these super big, beautiful leaves. So you can see, I think this is a newish leaf. We don't have it in the highest light conditions, so the leaves have definitely gotten smaller than the ones it was sent out with, but I don't mind. It really livens up the space that we have it in under our TV, so I'm happy with it. I think I might want to chop and prop it at some point because, as you can see, there's quite a bit of, you know, bare stem in here, and I think it would look nice kind of having more of a fuller base. But right now it's growing so well. It has two different growth points in here. There's one and there's the other up there. So nothing super exciting to say about this plant, but it is a pretty one. Not really a standout or a fave or anything like that. I wish you guys could see the floor in front of me. I'm getting surrounded by all the philodendron I've already talked about. So there's a couple of plants I'm gonna have to insert some B-roll of because they are kind of stuck in the place that they are. The first up is HEARTLEAF philodendron. We have two of them. One of them is massive and hanging in our living room, so I'll take some video of that because I don't want to take it down and disrupt it. And then the other one is behind me. It's probably not in frame, but it's attached to the wall, so I don't want to move that one as well. I'm super excited to attach to the drywall because, as you can see in the footage I'm showing you, the leaves have been getting bigger since it's attached because it's now climbing on something, so that's pretty cool. And then next to it, which I'm also trying to get to attach to the wall, is my Philodendron MICANS. One of my absolute favorite plants. I actually did a care guide video for this plant, so if you have a MICANS and you want some advice on how to get them to grow really lush and full and healthy, definitely watch that video. But my MICANS is growing so beautifully. I just love the different tones of the leaves. It reminds me of fall. I think it's such a fall plant. Ooh, maybe I should make a video on fall vibe plants. Note to self to do that. Okay, so next up is my Philodendron SUBHASTATUM. So next up is my Philodendron. So next up is my Philodendron SUBHASTATUM. Here she is. This is the newest leaf. Wait, is it? This is not the newest leaf. This is the first leaf I put out, and this is the newest leaf. The newer leaves have this like super red backing on them. This one still has some, but it's been fading down as the leaf matures. And I think it's super beautiful. It has these really nice long leaves with these cute little lobes at the top. I have this one in soil, but it hasn't been any sort of problem. I have it in terracotta so it doesn't get overwatered, and I have it in a super chunky aeroid soil mix, and it's been doing really well. You can see new growth is starting to come out. I can't wait to see how big that leaf is, hopefully bigger than the last two. So that is the Philodendron subhastatum. Okay, next up, this is definitely another fave that I didn't know much about. I ordered it on a whim because I saw it on sale and I've absolutely fallen in love with it. So it starts out with these like cute little small leaves that are kind of orangey green colored. And then as it matures, which it's been growing into this pole really well, it gets these really big leaves and they start to have lobes at the top, and the lobes become even more pronounced as they get more mature. Mine's not there yet, but you can already see the lobes really at the top there. I didn't say what this is called. This is a Philodendron CAMPOSPORTUANUM. And it's definitely growing in popularity. I've been seeing more and more people have it, but they're super affordable from what I've seen, and they do have the velvety leaf texture that everyone wants and the really beautiful, unique leaf color. Kind of another fall colored plant. This is another one I would highly recommend. They grow quickly, they mature easily, and they're just all around really beautiful. Okay, next up is a plant I think a ton of people have and love, and that is the Philodendron BIRKIN. Look how massive this guy is. So the trademark of the BIRKIN is that it comes out with these beautiful deep green leaves with white lining on them. You can see here. I think this is a super beautiful plant. Back maybe a year ago, these were super highly in demand and apparently hard to find from what I understand. But thankfully nowadays you can find them almost anywhere. They're constantly in big box stores, Home Depot, Lowe's, etc. So they're definitely easy to find now. I think Costa Farms, they're part of Costa Farms' trending tropicals collection, so you can order them online or find them in store. And it's just a super easy care, easy growing plant. There's new growth here, as you can see, and all you have to do is water it when it dries out. The leaves will start to curl when it gets really dry, so you know it needs water. It's a very nice decorative plant. Plus, we put it in this really cool geometric pot, which I think plays really nicely with the white lines on the leaves. Kind of a cool look, and this one also sits under our TV. Okay, next up is the lemon lime philodendron, and guys, look at this. It has a ladybug on it. So all of a sudden we noticed ladybugs in our house, and they've been reproducing. So now we have probably about 7 or 8. We started with like 2. But no complaints here. They're natural predators, so they eat different types of pests. So we're just letting them rock, but it's so cute because you'll occasionally pick up a plant and just see one hanging out on the leaves. Anyway, this is a lemon lime philodendron. It's kind of similar to the golden goddess philodendron I showed earlier in terms of color, but the growth pattern is pretty much the same exact thing as a heartleaf philodendron. So you could make it climb if you want to get the leaves to go bigger. It can also trail, and we only started this as a 1-leaf cutting, so it is pretty small, but one day it'll maybe be a nice big vine. I think when it gets bigger, we might want to cut it up so we can, put different stems back in the pot to make it fuller. But right now, we're enjoying how cute it is in this little pot. So next up is another fave, staying in the family of heartleaf philodendron. This is a variegated heartleaf philodendron. So it's the same exact thing as the green form, but it has white variegation on it. I put this one in leca. I got 2 different cuttings. Actually, I got it as 1 cutting and I cut it in 2. But I put it in leca, and as you can see, there's a lot of root growth here out the bottom, and it's been putting out a ton of new leaves. So this is the newest leaf from one of the cuttings, and the other cutting is unfurling that leaf right now. And they just have the most beautiful variegation. They definitely do come with a higher price tag, especially right now. I think I've seen cuttings of like 2-3 leaves for at least $100. But I will say they do grow really quickly. So if you wanted to buy one, grow it out a little bit, and then sell some cuttings, you'd be able to do that because they do grow at a really good pace. I mean, these last 3 leaves have been probably within the past month. So another great plant, the variegated heartleaf philodendron. Okay, we only have a few left, thank goodness. Getting winded. Here is a philodendron MARX Fantasy. Now, this is a super baby one. I got this one as a single leaf cutting that was super tiny, and I'm having trouble getting it to grow bigger. It's on a moss pole, but it's not really doing great. So actually yesterday I took a top cutting from it, and I'm rooting the top cutting in a prop box to see if maybe I can get that one to grow bigger in a different medium. I also should check the roots on this because I'm not seeing any sticking out or through the pot, and so maybe there's an issue there. But this is a super beautiful philodendron. It has this really intricate kind of patterning on the leaves. It's hard to see on leaves this small, but it is really beautiful. And it has kind of a silver sheen to it in its fully mature form. Okay, and next up is another favorite, which is the Philodendron Pink Princess. Now, to be fully honest, I'm going to insert a picture of mine when it was in its fullest glory, because right now it does not look great. It had a spider mite situation, and I ended up chopping it up into a few different cuttings, and they did get a little bit damaged. They're kind of curled, and they do have some spider mite damage on them. So I'm rooting all my separate cuttings. This one already did activate their growth point, as you can see there, so it'll start putting out new growth soon, but this is definitely a beautiful philodendron when it doesn't look decimated by spider mites like mine does. Moving on to the Philodendron MAMEI or MAMEI, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I actually have two of them. Here is the bigger one. So the leaves have this beautiful silvery coloring on it, and the petioles have this adorable wavy texture. I love that when plants do that. This one's been growing super well. There's actually two different stems in here, and they both have growth points that are constantly growing. So I do love this plant a lot. A couple of the leaves have come out a little bit wonky. You can see this one here looks like it had some damage when it was coming out. So I think this one maybe prefers a little bit higher humidity. I have one that's living in my greenhouse cabinet. As you can see, the leaves on this one are pretty much perfect, but they're so much smaller and they're not really getting bigger, whereas this one has a lot bigger leaves. This one's in LECA. So I don't know, two different experiences with these two guys, but I still love them both. They're both so beautiful. I might cut this one up soon actually, because it's getting a little wobbly, but we'll see. That's the Philodendron MAMEI. Okay, I promise we actually only have a few more left, don't worry. Here is a Philodendron Painted Lady. As you can see, the leaves come in kind of a yellowy green color, and they have this beautiful modeling on it that looks, I guess, like paint. The leaves that are new come in like pretty yellow, as you can see with this new guy here, and then over time will fade down more to green. And then look at the petioles. They're this beautiful pinkish color. This plant I do love. It does kind of remind me of a painting, I mean, hence the name, because it just has the most beautiful color assortment. I mean, it has pinks and yellows and greens, kind of a little bit of orange in it too. It's a super beautiful plant, and they're becoming way more affordable and easily accessible. So if you don't have one of these, I think I would highly recommend it. It's easy for beginners, typical philodendron care. It'll droop when it's thirsty. I have one of mine growing in soil, one's in spag, and one's in LECA, and they're all doing equally great. So definitely a wonderful, beautiful philodendron. Second to last, one of my all-time favorite plants probably is the Philodendron Brazil. Look at this. The first thing I love about this plant is just how easily accessible it is. It's really sold almost anywhere, and they're super affordable. So it's a great plant, especially if you're a beginner but you don't want just a simple green leaf. These have the most beautiful coloring and patterning on the leaves. And like the Heartleaf philodendron, it grows so quickly, as you can see, and it can be a vining plant or a climbing plant. I have mine here as a trailing plant, as you can see, but you can also put them on a pole and have them grow up pole. In that case, usually when they grow up a pole, the leaves will mature and grow bigger, but I really love how it looks like this. It's so cute. I have it on a shelf, trailing down over the shelf, and it's just such an easy grower. It'll also droop when it's thirsty, so you can get a sense of that. You're not a lot of guesswork with this plant. I have mine just in a super chunky soil mix and this cute little planter that used to be a candle, and I just love it. I mean, all the leaves come out so differently. Not to like overhype this plant, but I genuinely really love it. Like, look at this. It's basically a half moon leaf. So you'll get that, then you'll get ones that are just like kind of like this. Sometimes the newer leaves come out a pinkish tone. Like, this is one of the most amazing plants. I love, 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 love this plant. If you don't have it, please go get it, please. And then last but definitely not least is a very similar plant, and that is the Philodendron Silver Stripe. So this one does kind of look like a Brazil from afar, but there are a few key differences which I'll talk about. So first, a lot of times the leaves come out longer and skinnier. So you can see this has a much longer, more slender shape. This one as well. And then the lining in the middle is more of a cream color, whereas the other one is more of a lemon, lime, or green. It may be hard to see when I'm just like showing them separately, but I'll insert a picture of them side by side and you can kind of get a sense of what the difference between the leaves looks like. This one's a little bit harder to get than the Brazil. You don't really see this in big box stores, but I got mine as a set of like 5 cuttings for like maybe $30, and it's already been growing out so much. It's loving, whoa. It's loving LECA. You can see all those roots. Wow, okay, I need to up pot this probably. but it's growing so quickly. So even if you can only get one cutting, it's always a fun project to try to get one cutting to grow to a full pot. Just keep chopping and propping. And yeah, beautiful, beautiful philodendron. Okay, wow, I'm exhausted and sweating because I can't have my AC on while I film because it's too loud, but that's okay. It was worth it to show you guys my entire philodendron collection. I really hope you enjoyed seeing all of my favorite plants. I love philodendron. I always want, oh my God, I forgot one. So tragic news, as I was getting up to get my final philodendron, I tripped over the mic cord, knocked over the tripod, and then broke my mic. Okay, ambulance. So I was super clumsy, but I'm gonna try to show this last philodendron. I'm sorry if the sound quality just decreased a lot, I'm sure it did, but I'm gonna have to order a new mic and we'll get that going for the next video. Anyway, there's only one more philodendron to show you, but it is one of my favorites. I can't believe I almost forgot it. And that is the philodendron gloriosum. Look at her. I know she's a favorite of many people. They're absolutely beautiful. It's a little hard to see here, but when the new leaf comes out, the veining is kind of a beautiful soft pink color. The leaves are velvety and they get massive. Like the PLOWMANII, this plant is also a crawling plant, so it crawls along the medium. So right now it has enough space in here, as you can see, to keep growing. But eventually I'm going to transfer it to a long pot as well, so it can continue to root up as it grows. Okay, so that actually is all of my philodendron. Thank you guys so much for watching and sticking around to the end if you did. I know this was a long one. It's a long one for me too. Definitely leave a comment below. What was your favorite philodendron, either that I have or just your favorite philodendron in general? I'm always looking for more to get. You know, I'm a crazy plant person. I always want reasons to get more plants, of course. Leave your recommendations down below, and thank you guys so much for watching. If you could like this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed, that would mean so much to me, and I really, really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. Have a good one.